After going through a difficult period full of disappointment and betrayal, Ning in generations have become an overpowered figure with the power of his divine sword, and ascended as the strongest immortal lord ever. The story begins with a young man named Ning who is 18 years old. He is an office slave, but he still dreams of becoming a big man. Until one day bad news destroys all her dreams when her boyfriend who has been together for 5 years dumps her by phone. It was then that Ning found out that she had an affair with a rich man. That day was the worst day for her. In fact, she almost had no money left after buying all the expensive gifts for her ex-boyfriend. Worse yet, he also has to work part-time at an internet cafe to pay his father's rent and college bills. He was walking along the street trying to forget his sadness, suddenly dumbfounded when he saw a little girl almost run over by a truck. His body instantly reacted and he dove forward to save her, but it came at a cost to his body and he was too late to save himself. Then he woke up in a strange place without knowing what happened, until he met the god of life and death. But he said Ning wasn't supposed to die today, he should have lived till he was 98 years old. Thus, the god was shocked when he saw Ning dead, but this started blaming him as he was also the one who let him die, so Ning asked to be revived. But the god said he couldn't do that, but he gave him a chance to incarnate in another world, so he wanted a comfortable life. So imagine the god's surprise when he received the answer, that Ning would eventually turn back because of the rise as a prince. Link wakes up in a new world, and with his lecherous face, he realizes that he has been honored as the heir of the clan's strongest. 15 years have passed and Ning has grown up to be what you would expect, namely a proud and lazy noble. He was assisted by 2 maids named Kankao and Kao. He grew up like his dream without doing anything. Although he is talented in martial arts, well as he took a nap all day, suddenly his father came to check on him. He immediately got up and pretended that he was practicing, but his father didn't believe him. He was a genius martial artist, but he was too arrogant and didn't value hard work. So he needed to make sure he wanted to become a worthy future leader of the clan, and would allow him to train outside if he managed to defeat the demonic beasts first. Ling looked at the beast in surprise because it was small and thin, so there was nothing for him to be afraid of, but when the king released his shackles, everything changed. The beast suddenly grew into a very large snake, much bigger than anything Silence had ever seen before. Ning was suddenly shocked and staggered. Now his courage began to waver. With courage and strength in his heart, he stepped forward, ready to complete his mission. He ran and jumped, swinging his sword. But the beast's tail was too strong, he kept being knocked back. No matter how hard he tried, he stopped attacking, then watched and waited with his heart pounding until he was finally sure what he should do. Ning then charged forward with all his might, but when his sword came into contact with the sword's hard beast skin, bounced off, and Link fell to the ground again. Ning was determined not to give up, so he closed his eyes and summoned an aura within him. He suddenly felt power flowing through his veins, and he felt faster and stronger than before. He mustered up his courage and energy, and in one swift move, he slashed the beast's throat. His father handed over the jade sword to finish off the beast. That sword was not just an ordinary weapon, it was a magical sword, and it only worked when this blood flowed through it. The sword started to glow and absorb its power. He felt the sword come alive in his hands. He leaped into the air, and with one last strike, the monster was killed. But the mother of the monster now wanted revenge on Ning and attacked immediately. She tried to escape from the arena when the monster attacked her, then performs a special technique to defeat it, but the monster dodges its attack. Making it lose its arm, it stands up again and uses a magic technique to regrow its arm. It is about to be attacked again, but luckily the father saves it and forces the monster to retreat. Ning is reunited with his mother. Ning tells him that the monster is not wrong because Ning himself killed his son first. But the mother thinks that Ning is weak emotionally, which will become a burden. Once he becomes king, his father then returns and allows Link to train outside. Ning was happy to hear that, and without thinking, he rushed outside. Ning explored the forest while Bei and Kyo accompanied him until he stopped at the edge of a lake, where he saw a bird on a tree. He tried to steal some eggs, but he was surprised to see the azure sky snake in front of him. He falls from a tree and sees a girl laughing at him and telling him that he will not laugh when the ugly snake attacks him. But the girl gets angry and turns into the snake he met before. Link fights with the snake while trying not to hurt it. However, the snake girl showed no mercy to her and ended up breaking Ning's ribs. She used a technique to heal herself and decided to seriously fight the snake. The battle was endless until he was caught in a trap. Ning told him to run, but he too was still stuck. Ning broke through the trap and faced the enemy who had turned into a monster. He turned his head and saw Zan, a criminal known for his evil deeds. The snake girl then told him to run since he had no chance to fight against her. Ning watched from afar as they tortured the snake girl to take his power. Link was about to attack them, But Bei seemed to stop his intention and told him that this was part of his training. Ning needed time to meditate, and saw the trees blowing in the wind while the lotus flower remained steady and calm. He realized and closed his eyes, which he finally managed to awaken lotus flower power. Namely, the technique of creating fire and water to cut any object. Zan attacks him by spreading a tree trunk towards him, but easily destroys it. Zan mocks him arrogantly and expresses his desire to destroy his darkness. On the other hand, Link managed to maximize elemental power. The monsters accompanying Zan attacked him, but Ning quickly discarded his counter by smashing them to pieces. Zan was frightened and knelt before him, begging him to spare his life. He even begged to become Ning's disciple, but Ning refused because he didn't agree to use his friends as victims. He summoned his power, then destroyed it. Girl just thanked Ning for saving her. In exchange, she could ask anything from her. Their conversation was cut short by Kuya, who reminded them of a nearby village that was on fire. Ning couldn't believe this destruction was caused by a demonic snake, remembering his mother once told him that his emotions were his weakness, and he finally understood what his mother meant. That it is his kindness that will cause people to suffer. In fact, he might even lose his loved ones. He wants to fight the snake, but Bei tells him that he is still too weak. He needs to train for 3 years to be able to handle it. But Ning couldn't wait and train for that long, so he needed a way to defeat her. Bei offered himself to fight the demon snake for him, but Ning refused because she was the one who created the devil's desire for revenge. And Ning is the one responsible for ending it. Snake Girl tells him she knows how to make him stronger in no time. He told about Master Suiha, who would give his inheritance if Ning passed 3 tests. Regardless of the danger he might face, Ning decides to go. The Snake Girl wants to accompany him but must go alone. He reads a sign at the entrance of the cave that says he will be rewarded whatever he wants. Inside, he meets armored guards who warn him to turn back. If he doesn't want to die despite threats, Ning can't come back. He must become strong and solve his problems. The guards multiplied into countless soldiers. Ning wasn't sure how long it would take to defeat them. He swung his sword many times, but they didn't seem to die. Even if they were sliced into pieces, they would reappear. Ling realized that the 81 soldiers as one unit, which means when one suffers damage, the others will feel it too. So he had to eliminate them continuously until the magic control energy would be drained. He fought for 3 days straight without rest until he finally managed to defeat them. He lay on the ground trying to recover his breath. He was already tired, but he couldn't stop there. Ning had to go ahead and complete the remaining tests. He meditated for a while to recover his energy, but a wild monkey suddenly appeared in front of him. The beast told him to skip the 3rd test because the monkey's boyfriend broke up with him, and he considered life was not worth it anymore. The monkey warned Ning not to hold back because he would use his full power. The beast immediately slapped Ning, then summoned 2 swords and raised a flower lotus. But the monkey didn't budge and easily countered it. Ling tried to fight again until it caused an explosion in the area. But the monkey didn't even get a scratch, but suddenly the monkey started crying, urging him to work harder and hurt him even a little. Seeing that Ning was surprised by the reaction of the examiner, who continued to cry lonely, having been alone for thousands of years. Ling also outsmarted the beast's emotions and used his claws to hurt his own chest. He wasn't much stronger, but he was smart. Ning didn't even use strength to defeat the beast. The monkey then accepted his defeat and called him master before disappearing. Ning continued to walk the place and ended up in the purple room that was perfect for meditation. When he was about to start, he saw a giant buffalo who introduced himself as Suiha's magical spirit. The buffalo congratulated him for passing the test, making him the 5th master of the place. When the buffalo was about to leave, Ning complained because he only got a medal after undergoing a very complicated test, but the buffalo said he couldn't do much because he was only a spirit guide and the previous master could teach him. But now he has gone lucky that the buffalo taught him the 1,000 small sword formation technique, whereby he can control many weapons to inflict damage on his opponents. Even Ling can shake heaven and earth if he successfully masters this new technique. After a full month of practice, Ning headed to the bottom of the lake to fight the demon snake. Its aura became so strong that even the water opened. The monster spat fire at him, but he quickly used his sword to counter it. Ning swam to the surface, and the devil followed him angrily. So while flying high, Ning quickly injured the devil's body with his new power. The demon snake tried to escape, but Ning cornered it. He summoned the power of 1,000 blades and sliced the demon's head in half. Long story short, Ning returned home and became angry when she found out that the eldest clan was at war against them. The strongest among them was Tongyu, while Suli was the mastermind. Tongyu managed to kill most of the clan from Ning in the previous war with the help of Suli, which increased his battle power. So they have to get rid of Suli first to defeat Tongyu. But that was so impossible as he might have locked himself in. Their only chance of winning was to use 5 people to release all the dragons from the sky chains. Ning went to the Salong clan to inform them of the location of the battle. He threatened to kill Tongyu when he tried to attack him when he was still in his mother's womb. Tongyu was angry and firmly told him that they would not back down from a fight. The day of the war came. Ning and Ba were assigned to go quietly and make sure the eldest clan couldn't escape, while 5 other higher-ups, including Ning's parents, would control the dragon seal. His father uses dragon scales to turn him into a sword and gives it to Ning, hoping they will help him destroy the Salong clan. After absorbing Ning's power, heads to the battlefield and summons thousands of swords to paralyze the enemy. However, the enemies joined forces and counterattacked Ning all at once as a result. He exploded and suffered many injuries. He used his powers to heal himself and felt stronger than before. He ascended into the sky while the enemy placed a seal to protect themselves, but still his sword managed to penetrate the barrier immediately appeared from the sky, while Ning countered countless weapons. As swords fell from the sky, which immediately awakened the power of the lotus, the enemy side tried to get hold of it, but Ning beheaded the enemies one by one. Despite winning this battle, the dragon seal was broken by the power of the Tongyu. Tongyu was about to attack Ning's parents, but Ning came at him. Tongyu transformed into a bigger form, but it was nothing compared to Ning's strength. The enemy then charged forward, but it used a 1,000-blade technique to attack him. The two clashed with each other. Until Ning combines the 1,000 swords technique and the lotus flower technique, Ning uses his speed to injure him. Ling doesn't give him a breath, and with one final blow, he uses the power of the lotus flower to weaken the opponent and decapitate him. Ning tried to absorb Tongyu's power as quickly as possible, but he couldn't move, giving Suli the opportunity to attack Ning's plan by summoning her own dragon. The higher-up Ad tried to stop the attack by controlling all the dragons against her, but his strength was too strong to be matched. Ning watched as the opposing dragon devoured his family to pieces. He gnashed his teeth and cried out in pain as they were killed by Suli, causing the place to collapse. Ning then ascended into the sky and attacked the dragon Suli. After defeating the enemy, he was left with Ba, who was the only survivor of their clan. Tears fell from his eyes as he realized it was over and the story was over.